Special treat today in studio. We have Jim Kreutzer. He is a Kenosha businessman, creator, developer, producer. A lot of titles on this for Tommy's Honor. And maybe explain what this movie is and kind of your creative vision for this, Jim.
Well, this is my 12th film that I've been doing this now for about 25 years. The favorite film you have is the one you just did, so I have to say this is my favorite. But I took a sick friend to St. Andrews, and as part of our experience, I bought the book Tommy's Honor, which tells the story of young Tom and old Tom Morris. This is a true story set in 1860s, 70s Scotland. It's a story about universal themes of fathers and sons and life and death and tragedy and class distinctions, how people don't rise above their own station. And when I was there with my friend, I said, how come no one's ever turned this into a movie? This looks like a little gem that the studios missed. So came home, bought the film rights from the author after a cold call, and 6 years later, here we are coming out in the National Theaters April 14th.
How about that? And it's a great time because you've got the Masters going right now. You've got Erin Hills coming, or U.S. Open coming to Erin Hills in the area as well. And this is a fabulous period piece that I noticed, Jim, where everything, I mean, it just looks like it's a throwback to years gone by.
Well, most golfers truly think that maybe golf history ends with movies that they've seen, such as Greatest Game Ever Played or the Bobby Jones story. But this was the original greenskeeper from St. Andrews that made the forum of 18 holes. He designed it. He designed the first golf cup. So there's an amazing story, not to mention the amazing family that brought it to, that developed this wonderful game that we have. But it was so much more than a golf movie. It could have just as easily been a story with a background of tiddlywinks or tennis or anything. But this has golf as a background. But the story is the interaction amongst the families and the drama. And so initially golfers will be attracted to this film, no doubt about that. And it's a very passionate group of sports people who love their sport. But the reality is that this movie is for non-golfers, for people that enjoy dramas and true stories. It's very heartfelt. And I guarantee you there will be some, as there is in many of the screenings that we've had, not a dry eye in the house, because it's so much more than just watching balls go across the green or go across go in the air.
It's a very ambitious project, like you said, on and off the golf course. You're in a different country filming this thing. What did that all entail?
Well, we filmed Tommy's Honor in Scotland, centered around the golf courses. And of course, nowadays in Scotland, we filmed this in the summer of 2015 in 33 days at 50 locations. We had to build a golf course out of a cow pasture because there's no such thing any longer as a rough and tumble golf course from the 1860s. The grass at St. Andrews is the same length. Every blade of grass now is very manicured, very crowded. So we had to build the bridge, build the Swirlcombe Bridge, build the 18th hole, build the first green, or first tee, and we had to make a facsimile of the R&A, the Royal and Ancient Clubhouse, as we discovered it was made in the 1870s. So it was ambitious, and our set designers, production, and make no mistake about it, this is Jason Connery's, our director's, vision. When I met Jason and hired him 5 years ago, he and I had the same idea that this was not a golf movie. But Jason, who's Scottish, has a home there, and knows the game well. He grew up on a golf course with his father. And in fact, when I called him the first time, he said to me, "You do understand this is Jason Connery, not Sean Connery you're talking to." And I said, "I know that." And he's proven to be an amazing, sensitive guy that understood the relationships amongst these people and how they grew up and how they were the rough and tumble golfers. Not like it is now. It's not as structured for a long shot. And they didn't know what they were doing at the time. It was just the game was evolving.
It sounds like a lot of relationships, like you said, tragedies involved. There's a lot of different layers to this movie.
There is. There is. Old Tom lived till 1908 in real life. He and not to give away any of the story, but he lived a long life. And when people would go visit, when they played golf at St. Andrews in the early 1900s, they would play their golf and they would pay homage, walk over to the golf shop and practically kiss the ring of old Tom Morris, because he, at that time, had become a legend. And to this day, it's my privilege as the one who had the vision. It's very humbling to be able to bring a story of this man and this family to the screen, and thinking that it was just me that had this at one time for several years. It's very humbling, and I'm very proud to say that. And I've met some of the Morris family now, and they certainly are encouraging to me, and were at the time. So.
And there's some notable people in there in the movie, including Sam Neill. A lot of people remember him from Jurassic Park as well.
Sam was probably the one that most U.S. filmgoers would recognize, but we and Jason Connery felt that we wanted to make it as authentically Scottish as possible. Peter Mullen, who plays Old Tom, is an iconic Scottish actor, very well known. Not very well known here in the States, but Peter likes it that way. He doesn't seem to have too much of an ego. And then Jack Lowden, who you will see, and Jack Lowden, who plays young Tommy, he's the star of this film, and you will see Jack Lowden in the future in other projects. He just finished a Christopher Nolan film called Dunkirk, and Ophelia Lovibond, who is Jack's co-star, love interest, was on Guardians of the Galaxy. She's done some work on American TV in Elementary, and some British television as well. So the performances are extraordinary, and surrounding myself with people such as Jason Connery, these type of actors, all that does is make me look good. So I'm flattered to be with these people. And
I know you were mentioning before that this movie really tugs at the heartstrings, and you had I have a friend who has ALS, and just the whole thing of how it really means something to a lot of people that see it.
People who take their celebrity status, and I'm not even a celebrity, but people who, like, the film is the celebrity, but to be able to show this film and to move people, and then to use it for charity reasons, such as the screenings in New York and Chicago are for the First Tee, that's the PGA's charity. I did some work with ALS. We're doing something with the Boys and Girls Club also. And to be able to take a film that I enjoyed making, but then yet do good things from it, and move people to do that is amazing. I can't, and if you think for 1 minute that there's not pinch me moments for me, even after all these years of doing this, you can guess again. Winning the Scottish Oscar like we did last fall, and standing on stage accepting it with Jason Connery, I mean, you can't write stuff like that.
Right, that's the pinch me moment type stuff. Sure. And you also shared off camera, but we got to quickly mention it on camera as well, just someone that watched the film that had ALS.
You know, it was really, we showed the film at the World Golf Hall of Fame in Jacksonville last week, and to about 300 people. And about 2 days later, after I got home, a man called me up on my cell phone, and he said, "I've got your name, Jim, from the people at the World Golf Hall of Fame, and I heard you speak, and I was too emotional to tell you or to confront you at that time, but I want to tell you a story, which is my son and I grew up on a golf course. We experienced raising him growing up, learning about the game, learning about honesty, learning about how to treat other adults, learning how to be a partner." And he said, "When my son died 3 weeks ago, and I came to your screening, there were so many moments in this father-son story that I felt my son's hand in mine." Well, to say the least, Lance, it was overwhelming to me to hear that. And again, it humbles you, where you just sit back and go, it's just a movie. But then for some people, it may not be just a movie.
No, it's more than a movie. It means something to people. And the other thing that I kind of enjoyed was when you get to look at kind of the trailer and then some of the clips and things like that, you actually got Jordan Spieth and his dad to dress up in period costumes, period pieces, and play with the old clubs. I thought that was interesting.
I would love to take credit for that idea. that was my partner's idea, Keith Bank. But he put that together, and on the clip, if you'll notice that Keith was walking up the fairway with Jordan Spieth and his dad. Had I put that together, I guarantee you I would have been on that fairway walking up there, but he deserved that. But Jordan was he's a good kid, and the father-son thing is obviously very appropriate. And it was easy for him to do that, and it was easy for them. He muffed his first shot because he's so restricted he couldn't turn.
He mentioned that. He said he kind of duffed it right in front of the hazard.
He did. He put it up about 25 yards straight up and straight down, and it was pretty comical. Here's the #1 golfer in the world saying, "Give me a mulligan," and we all got a kick out of that. But he was charming, but again, to be able to do this by just taking a friend 6 years ago to play golf. for a bucket list trip and had no intention of doing anything like this, and yet to be kind of swept along. And our release is coming up shortly, and then we'll be releasing in the UK in the end of June, and then across the rest of the world later next year.
And it just shows you how difficult it was to play with those clubs back in the 1860s and the early eras.
Yeah, I've played with them, and the ball doesn't go very high, it doesn't go very far, and I think a good drive would be 190 yards, and nowadays that's, for some of these players, that's an 8-iron.
That's really easy. Yeah.
So it's changed. But we discovered in one of our studies that it's the balls that have changed, not so much if you hit. The variable is the type of balls that are made these days versus the clubs. If you hit a new ball with an old club, you'd be surprised how close it comes to current standards.
And the final thing is, you've already mentioned it's already won awards, it's already gotten acclaim from those that have seen it, but when it truly premieres next week, April 14th, what do you hope people take from this, and what do you hope ultimately becomes of the movie?
Well, that's a good question. My measure of success, I've already achieved far greater success than I could have ever imagined with this film, to be able to do the things that I've done with it, help people, help charities. I think people don't ever not follow their dreams. If you feel that you have something that you want to follow, and here's a little guy from Kenosha, Wisconsin, who had a vision and just got lucky, but to never have tried would have been disappointing. So I'm privileged to be able to follow my dream, and I would encourage anybody who had a dream of their own, whether it's a film or whether it's a project or anything, to just say, it can happen.
Tommy's Honor, an incredible piece. It airs on, it premieres, I should say, on April 14th. And Jim, thanks for the time. It is a wonderful piece.
No problem.
And thanks for watching.